Beat of the month. Beat of the month. Gotta have me my beat of the month. Beat of the month. Beat of the month. Gotta have me my beat of the month.
The Game Boy, the Xbox, the PlayStation 4. Gotta press pause cause your mom's at my door.
Beat of the month. Beat of the month. Gotta have me my beat of the month.
We game all month, give out points and sorts. Better look out, it's another Switch port.
Beat of the month. Beat of the month. Gotta have me my beat
Welcome
of the
everyone
month.
to another
Beat of the
episode
month.
of Beat of the
Beat
Month
of the month.
podcast. This is
Gotta
episode
have
6.
me.
We're taking a look at indie games that we played during the month of September. I am joined by, my name is Brian, and I'm joined by Melbro,
Yo.
Bash,
Hey,
Muff,
Hey, y'all, I seen a couple raccoons munching on some clams this morning.
Viral,
hello.
Moose,
Yo.
Darkside,
Those weren't clams. That was me there munching on.
and Emil.
The one and only, baby.
All right, so again, we're looking at indie games that we played in the month of September. Then we're going to run down our top 3 indie games of all time. So Melbro, why don't you kick us off with what you played for the month of September?
So this month, man, this was a big Hollow Knight month for me. So that was the bulk of my time this month was spent playing Hollow Knight. So I know, got some recommendations from you guys. I know a bunch of you guys played it as well. So I decided to, give it a shot and dive in. Because typically I'm not a Metroidvania guy, but I have to say, this game really wowed me from start to finish. I just couldn't put it down, to be honest. Just exploring the different bosses. There were so many different secrets and so much to the game that I actually still want to explore after beating it. Took me about 20 hours. And just had a great time with it. Let me, any of you guys want to chip in, let me know your thoughts on the game as well, since I know a lot of you other guys beat it also.
Moose, you want to share your
Yeah,
thoughts? I know
Melvin,
you played it probably the most.
I beat the game as well this month, and that's the second time I beat it. It's probably definitely one of my top recent games in recent history. But the game itself is it's just different than most of the games I've played. I mean, it's really all about atmosphere more than it is about story. There's no direct story. I mean, there is probably something if you really look for it. But it's just the world is just very deep with lore that's just kind of cool. And it's I'm not really much into lore either, but it just it kind of drew me in. Just the whole
Luce, you're
atmosphere.
totally a lore guy.
I'm the guy that gets all
Destiny
the
2 lore, baby. You're all over that lore.
Destiny 2 lore is terrible. Destiny
Yeah, but you
1
love it. You play Destiny all the time, and you're like, look at the lore, and there's Grimoire and all
Wow,
that.
we're 2 minutes in and we're already talking about Destiny.
Hey man, Darkside loves Destiny. And he loves it when I talk about it. But Hollow Knight, that game, I mean, it's the best Metroidvania since Castlevania Symphony of the Night, in my opinion.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a bold statement, Brian, and I'm going to stand by it.
Yeah, I mean, I played it. I was not nearly as high on it as Moose was, or Melvin. I mean, I put 40 hours into it, so I played quite a bit of it. But just the way that you can, I mean, the game doesn't hold your hand, which I know a lot of people like, and which, I mean, I can appreciate that. But I think I just happened to stumble into a harder section of the game pretty early on, the Deep Nest, and I ended up getting...
that's a hard section.
Yeah, and I ended up getting killed, and then I didn't have the map, so I'm like, all right, I got to go back and find my dude, his ghost, so I can reclaim my gold or whatever, which I guess later on in the game, it's not that big of a deal if you lose your gold.
Yeah, that's tough, when you lose all your money, man. It's brutal.
Yeah, so and it was pretty early on, and I lost my money. I mean, I get it, they need to have some penalty for death that gets out of the live system, but yeah, just
you
the whole
don't
map
lose it
system
entirely unless you die trying to get it back, right? So
right.
That's what
I'm so
mean.
glad I didn't play that because I hate that system.
I mean, it matters, but it doesn't really change the game. It's annoying when it happens, but you make money so fast after a while that it doesn't really matter.
When you die, you lose all your monies.
So
you lose your money and you have to kill your ghost. You kill your ghost to get everything back. If you die before you kill your ghost, then you permanently lose it.
You go back to your save point, so you have to.
When you die, you drop your money on the ground where you died,
And if you don't make it back there before you die again, you lose everything that was there.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm not a fan of that system.
But it's just
me neither.
funny. Like you're not
That's
losing
like-
your progress necessarily.
When Sonic loses all them rings, it's like that.
I mean, to a degree,
Yeah, I guess.
Kind of, but
like,
Sonic loses
immediately.
rings as you go, though, right? Like, doesn't he?
Losing all them rings.
He gets hit and loses rings. And then,
Yeah, so
And I mean,
the map system was not unlocking the progress of where you're going until you find the guy that gives you the map. That was frustrating for me.
I think I like that exploratory
too.
part. Yeah, I like the fact that you can just go wherever you want, just kind of explore, and it was just wide open. I like that. Like I would take a certain route to beat the game, but you would take a totally different route. And it's so many different ways to get to the end point. I thought that was kind of cool. Everybody playing the game would have a different experience. I'm sure, like Moose, when you played it the second time, you probably had a totally different experience when you played it the first time.
oh yeah, I mean, the first time I played the game, I nearly completed it and all the DLC. I couldn't do like the boss gauntlet part at the very end just because it was too gruesome for me. But it took me like 110 hours the first time I beat the game, and then this time it took me like 35 hours or something.
Right.
So I kind of knew where to go, and I just kind of knew what to expect a lot more this time around.
And the last thing I want to say about Hollow Knight is like the graphical style is so dope, man. Just it's just visually just a pleasing game to look at. Very. And the bosses are really cool too.
It looks cool, but like I do like my games colorful and cheerful.
Yeah.
And this game's kind of like the opposite of that. I mean, the main character is like a cute little whatever ghost rabbit guy, but I mean the game's pretty drab. So that's why part of the I guess the environmental aesthetic didn't click with me as well.
It's a dark themed game, but it's really crisp. Like the visuals are crisp.
Yeah.
Like it looks like you're playing a cartoon, almost similar to like
Chris
a
like
Cuphead
Golden Grams,
style,
right?
where it's like you're like Golden Grams. No, you're thinking of Cookie Crisp.
Cookie Crisp. That's right.
Cookie Crisp.
With the Hollow Knight combat, because Hollow Knight's really focused on combat, probably more so than a lot of other Metroidvania games. The combat was pretty cool, like the way that you regenerate health, but I didn't love the knockback that you get every time you hit an enemy.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. You know what else?
A lot
is
of
cool,
the
though?
combat, like switching to the combat. Sorry, a lot of the
go
combat in that game, it's like you have to be very precise with when you attack and when you dodge and stuff, and you felt like a badass when you figured out how to beat a boss. Like that was really hard.
Yeah, that was cool. What was cool too, like another part of that game, the music. I mean, I thought the music was awesome. Like
It had
kind
a
of
couple
put you,
good tracks.
Yeah, I feel like it put you in rhythm though too. Like when you were fighting a boss, you kind of moved to that music. You know what I mean? In a way.
Feel the beat.
Yeah, you kind of feel that you almost like move to the enemy. You know what I mean? It's almost like a dance.
Yeah, similar
Yeah, it's
to like
pretty
beat of the
cool.
month. You get that beat and you're good.
Yeah.
Get that beat in your soul, baby.
Brian, you didn't like the music?
No,
I thought it was good.
There was I think the song's called like City of Tears or whatever. I mean, that was a beautiful song, but most of the other, I don't remember, a lot of the sections didn't have background music though, right?
Yeah, nothing really stood out to me. Like, this was like, I guess this isn't a game that's memorable for its music, but yeah, I mean, there was a couple of parts that were okay, like Emil mentioned. But all right,
Bash,
I guess.
I know you played Hollow Knight, Bash. What did you think of it overall?
I got like 10, 15 hours into it, and I got sidetracked and quit playing. It was fine. Like you
That
said, I had
fucking
the
hell.
same annoyance as you had, but it was pretty good.
The
I
map
do that a lot
system
lately. Is just like
is rough, but like you usually can hear the guy like humming to himself or something when you're kind of close to where the map is. And you
Yeah.
start seeing clues on the ground where the maps are. But I mean, that was probably the worst part of the game, is the maps aren't that easy to unlock. But other
Yeah,
than that, I mean,
I felt myself like backtracking a lot, like more than usual in a Metroidvania game, where I was going through the same areas like over and over again.
yeah, I mean,
Which
when
is
you
why
get
I
new
think-
abilities, you get new,
Yeah.
you can get to new areas and old sections, I guess. I know what you're saying. That was a lot of it, and that was a lot for like it seemed like collectibles and stuff more than progress.
I did get frustrated at some points and like had to look up a strategy guide. Now, I guess this is just like Metroidvania as a whole. Sometimes I just get frustrated not knowing what I need to do or where I need to go with this new ability. So, I just in this game, I just looked up a strategy guide, and yet I didn't have a problem with that.
What's Metroidvania mean?
Metroidvania.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
It's like I mean, there's a lot of things that kind of make up what a Metroidvania is. I think the big part of it is you've got kind of an interconnected map, and sections of the map are blocked off based on abilities that you have to get as you go through other areas of the game. So you might have a door at the very beginning of the game that you won't be able to enter until near the end because you need a specific set of abilities. And there's other things like character progression, like leveling up and things like that. I mean, most of the time they're like 2D side scrollers, but that isn't 100% of the case.
Muff, you've played one. You've played Shantae. That's a Metroidvania game.
So, does Metroidvania, the term, have anything to do with the game Metroid or Castlevania?
Nope, nothing at all.
No, Muff, it's exactly
Got
that.
'em
So
good,
it's
baby.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night and then Super Metroid. Like those styles are like the kind of the keystone games for that genre.
Thank you, Moose. I don't know why Darkseid all the time would be asshole.
Darkseid's a great guy.
You know why.
All time.
That blooming onion asshole.
That's right.
All right, Melvin, you got any other thoughts on
Thanks,
Hollow Knight?
Brian.
No, great game. I definitely recommend it. Then I know, Brian, you mentioned that you like, cute and colorful games. So I did play one of those this month. That was actually the first game I beat this month, called A Short Hike. So this was an amazing game, dude. I was listening to some other people talk about it, and it just really intrigued me in terms of the art style. So I decided to check it out. Nintendo eShop. I think it was on sale. And A Short Hike is really like a 2-hour game, right? And you have this little character, like a little bird, and you just like fly around and do missions. And like the music is some of the best music I've heard in an indie game. It's like dope, really, really dope. You guys know I'm big on like good music in video games, and it's just really relaxing. Like it's kind of like getting the sweetest massage type of relaxing. It's just it just like puts a calm over you. You know what I mean? It was just really fun, and all the way through, you just like fly around with this, like a feel good game. Just fly around with this little bird, and you do all little cool little missions, and he's making little friends and stuff, and it's just like a cute game, man. So. One of the best indie games I've played in recent memory. I definitely recommend it.
So, with it being so short, is there any reason to go back to it after you've beat it?
Yeah, there's a lot of additional missions if you want to get like a completionist. You can probably put in, if you want to do everything, maybe like 8 hours into the game. But like to beat the game, you probably 2 hours max. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. Yeah, I want to check it out.
Yeah, check it out. Check it out. And then the last game that I've been playing, I haven't beat it just yet, but very, very close, is Wargroove. And this is a strategy game. This, kind of my first dive into one of these type of games since, I was very, very younger playing like Red Alert games or Command & Conquer games, if you guys have heard of that. So this is really just I think there was a Nintendo game that
Advance Wars.
Advance Wars, yeah. Everybody says like
Good
based on
game.
Advance Wars.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool though. The story is shit, but the actual gameplay is fun. You just control all of these different little creatures and humans, and they have different abilities. It's like a lot of strategy involved.
It's like the older Fire Emblem games. I haven't played any of the new ones, but it's the same kind of gameplay.
Yeah. So I'm really probably about 90% complete with it. So I think I've played enough to speak to it. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with that. They have an online mode, which is really cool, as well as like a build your own stage type of mode. So like certain characters, are good on water. Certain characters are good on land. You can kind of customize your own stages for online mode. So they really fleshed this game out. It's pretty cool.
Anybody else play Wargroove?
I haven't beat it. I played it. It's on Game Pass, Darkseid, so you can get it on the Switch, PlayStation, PC, I think, and Xbox. So
I didn't know that. For some reason, I thought it was only a Switch game. I never knew that it was on other platforms.
Oh man, Game Pass has everything, man.
Yeah, I never got into the Advance Wars games that much. So hearing that this was so similar to those, I've heard good things about it, but I was never that intrigued to pick it up myself.
Have you ever played any style of game like that?
Yeah, just Advance Wars. But
you played Fire Emblem, haven't you?
Yeah, I played Fire Emblem, the earlier ones. Yeah, it seemed like this one got more direct comparisons to Advance Wars, which I had played and thought were okay.
Yeah.
All right, Melvin, you got anything else?
No, those were all the games that I played in the indie theme for this month.
All right.
No,
Bash?
wait, I'm sorry. One more. Fall
yeah.
Guys, man.
Fall Guys!
Fucking Fall Guys, baby.
Oh, God.
Lots of Fall Guys. So an amazing game. I'm sure we'll speak about that a lot over the course of this episode. So I'll jump in when we dive into it later.
Lots of Fall Guys.
All right, Bash, you play any indie games this month?
Played one I expected to beat it, but it turned out to be a lot longer than I thought it was gonna. It was Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. Kind of the sequel to like that like Kickstarter backer game. It was only like 5 levels, but this one's like 4 times as long as that one.
Oh shit.
Yeah, from the looks of it, it feels like I'm on the last boss, but there's like 4 more chapters to it, so I'm not sure how far it goes, but basically it plays like Castlevania 3. You ever played that? It's kind of like you got like a tag team of 4 different characters. You can switch between them anytime you want. They each got their own health bars. Like if one of them dies, it kind of sends you back to the beginning of like the area you're in. If you lose all of them, then you get sent back to a checkpoint. And
Is it hard as fuck as Castlevania 3?
it's the thing, there's a veteran difficulty, that's kind of like the default, and it has a casual difficulty where you don't get knocked back when you get hit, and you get infinite lives. That's what I'm playing it on.
Oh,
It's
hell
still pretty
yeah.
hard, but yeah.
That's how the first one was too, right, Bash? I played that one. Like as
Yeah,
far
pretty
as
much.
like, difficulties and switching characters and stuff. I think it's the same kind of idea.
That's what I remember
Yeah,
as well.
basically. Yeah.
Is there anything significantly different from the second one compared to the first one, other than the length?
Like I said, I think a lot of stuff unlocks later on that I just haven't gotten to yet, but it's mostly basically the same vibe.
I like the first game quite a bit. I played through that multiple times because it was so short. I played through it multiple
Yeah.
times, like because there was different ways. Like if you don't get any of the extra characters, then you play a different route and stuff like that, which was cool.
Yeah. I think there's like a lot of like extra like movement options you unlock later that I haven't gotten yet because there's a lot of passages you can't get into like your first time through. But yeah,
Does it
other than that,
does
it's
it
pretty
tie into the
straightforward.
other games? Like
It has its
plot-wise?
own plot. Like it has a couple of characters that carry over into this game, but the plot's just completely different. It doesn't really have anything to do with like the main game. But I think that's basically what the first one was like too.
Yeah, I mean the first one came out first, so I think it came out even before the main Ritual of the Night came out. So that's why
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
think so,
really
yeah.
expect that. Or I guess when I played it, I didn't know how it was going to tie in to the other games really. Bash, you got
Yeah,
anything else?
That's like the only indie game I played this month. So
Have you beaten every Castlevania game?
oh hell no. Like the earlier ones are just too fucking hard, man. Like
Did you beat Castlevania 64? Brian's
Yes, I
favorite
did, actually.
Castlevania. Oh no, Melvin's favorite Castlevania.
My favorite,
Yeah.
man. The best one.
Melvin's
it ain't
every
bad as people
series.
say, but it's a decent game.
Bash, if the first ones, if you found them too hard, the collection's great to pick up. I mean, they only give you a single save state, but like I was still able to use
Yeah,
that
yeah.
in the first game.
I beat Bloodlines, but I think I almost beat 4, but
All right, Muff, you play any indie games for September?
Oh, huh? Yeah.
Ah,
I'm coming.
Muff just woke up.
sorry we woke you, Muff.
A narcoleptic
we're podcasting?
motherfucker over here.
All right. So, indie games.
Yeah,
I've
boy.
been playing that Fall Guys.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot of fun. Darkside grab assing.
Mm-hmm.
Tries to think he king. But that's fun. I look forward to. Bitch, don't be talking, laughing. So I'm trying to talk. So Fall Guys, new
Sorry,
season
Big
coming, and I'm looking forward to that. I only
How
got to
does
like level
seasons
20.
work?
Huh?
What do you mean? How do seasons work? There's spring,
I'd-
summer, fall, winter.
He ain't
bitch.
never been no season ranking pass guy in no games.
In the
So I
video
think
game,
the way the way it's gonna work is like so Fall Guys, right? It's like you have all these different obstacle courses and it's like 60 characters that race to the end of the course and try and survive to make it to the next round. But
Yeah,
I'm
it's
guessing
like,
what the next season would be is like, new courses, things like that.
Yeah, it's like a Mario Party Battle Royale type thing.
Yeah.
So it's like an update to the game.
And the costumes, as you move along, you get different costumes that you can add and color schemes to your character. It doesn't do anything as far as playability. It just makes it more funnins.
Yeah, it's all cosmetic.
Yeah.
Funyuns.
I got them upstairs, flaming hots. But the Fall Guys, I will play it again. I got sidetracked from the Fall Guys because Madden 21 came out, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But Fall Guys, if y'all ain't been here played it, I don't know, you got to pay for it now. But I like free. I got it when it was free. Play with Darkseid's brother Bob and his friend Geronimo, and we have a good time.
Oh yeah, Geronimo Bob. That's right. Yeah.
No,
a great
Bob and
crew.
Geronimo separates. Bob is Darkseid's brother. Geronimo comes along with Bob. But yeah,
Makes
it's
sense.
fun. Y'all should play. Next one's we was up inside here. Me and Spyro tag team this one.
We were here.
That's why I said
The game is We Were Here.
this game. I gotta tell you, I loved this game. There's a lot of aspects of it that were pretty badass. So you know how you get up on the party chat up inside the Xbox and you be talking to each other. That don't play. In order to talk, so there's two peoples. One's a librarian, one's a spore bins, and the two of them are in separate rooms. You can't see each other. You can't see no rooms, and you can't even talk to nobodies. But you search around in the room you first start, and there's walkie-talkie. And legit walkie-talkie, just how walkie-talkie work, you go talk to somebody, you got to hit the button. And if they hit the button at the same time, you can't hear them. So you hit the button, you talk to them, and the other one's on the other side listening. And you have to take turns exchanging like that. And I think that's absolutely genius. Whereas, because people just be talking all the time, but when you have to coincide with each other to be able to communicate, and the communication is extremely important in this.
And you can't do party chat too. It's disabled. So
Yeah.
you can't get around
okay.
it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
So
Could you
the
just do
only
Xbox
way to
Live
talk
party
is through
chat?
the walkie-talkies. And so one of them has to give clues to the other one. And so there's clues, like Librarian has some clues, starters, for the room that the Explorer's in. And the Explorer has to try to find where that's at so they can then try to put the puzzle together and to eventually get to the next step. And, I mean, I had a lot of fun playing with Spyro with this, and it's like that back and forth through all the levels. And what's really cool about this, I don't know if y'all ever had these, like, sociology testing things, and Darkseid, and so how I see something and I describe it, Spyro could see something but see it in a completely different way. So like one, there's a chessboard. I would spoil it, but it's worth it. And that's where we got stuck for quite a bit, because how I was reading it and telling him where to go, he was reading it almost like a mirror backwards. And so it just wasn't working. And so eventually I was able to understand how he was viewing it, and then I could relay the message how he saw it, and it worked, and I was able to move on. But absolutely a phenomenal game. I think that they were onto something, and there's sequels that I would love to play again when they're free, because I'm about to pay for nothing. This was free, so I'm cheap as shit. I like free, but this game was amazing. Spyro?
Yeah, I agree. I can talk about more once it gets to my turn, but yeah, it was a really good game. The atmosphere was really cool. It was very just creepy, and from the music, the sound, the walkie-talkie interaction, you really got that feeling of isolation. Like when I was talking to Muff, going back and forth, like it was definitely a game that you really get absorbed into. And I would definitely recommend it to anyone. It's a short game, 2 hours. There's like maybe 4 or 5 main puzzles. But for us, I mean, this is the first type of game I played like this. The puzzles were difficult for me. Just like Muff said, your interpretation of things is different. Trying to explain what I'm seeing to Muff and vice versa was challenging for sure. And just the interaction between us, like you really were trying to communicate what you're seeing to them, hoping they wouldn't lose that information in translation. Yeah, I'll get into it more, but it was definitely a cool game.
So can you play that game single player, or does it have to be co-op? Has to be co-op.
Yeah.
And just co-op with 2 people?
Only 2 peoples. So.
You played this on Game Pass?
No, it was last September. It was free on
Games of Gold.
Yeah. And we had it downloaded, and so we just pulled it up, and I'm glad we did, because as far as video games go, that was probably one of the more fun games that I've played in a long time, just because it was so different from everything else that, whether it's side-scroller, beat 'em up, puzzle games, this was to have to actually rely on somebody to work with you and understand them. It definitely, all of y'all, if you got it, you should play it. Pick another one in the group. And,
so it was free in September 2019, right?
2019, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but definitely play it. And playing with one of us won't cut it, because we already know what to do now. So you really should play it with somebody that hasn't played it before.
Hey, you said that you got it free, but you really enjoyed it. Would you pay for it if you had the chance? You know, like you said, there's sequels, and would you pay for any of those?
Knowing what I know now, yes, I would pay for it, but I'm an honorable man. I'm not going to pay for
it. Well, the games are really short too, so I wouldn't pay more than $5 for it, because it's like 2 hours on how long to beat.
If somebody gave me $5, I'd buy it and pay. So, yeah.
Muff, you play anything else? Indie games? September?
I played Madden 21.
So we do have a section where we'll talk about games that maybe were not indie games later on. Do you want to talk about Madden now, though?
Bitch.
All right.
I played as the Indianapolis Colts. But here's a twist. I cut everybody, and I picked up only people playing in the NFL that went to Michigan or NIU. And I built a whole roster on that to make it completely hard and challenging. And I ended up going through the whole season, won the Super Bowl, the games were close. But by getting rid of all the freaking amazing talent out there and getting some stars and then some not, but they're in there, it makes it a lot more challenging. So that twist on it, I had a lot of fun doing it that way.
Who was your quarterback, Tom Brady?
Tom Brady, and the backup is Chad Henne.
You got Garrett Wolf on that team?
Well,
he's not
in jail, right?
I don't think he's in jail. I don't know.
I don't know if there's jail in Madden.
Probably has Jimmy Ward though, right?
Jimmy Ward was on there.
Michael the Burner Turner, was he on there?
Oh wow, yeah, Michael Turner.
So here's the thing. There were no running backs, so I did have to create a couple running backs to fill the roster. And that was another cool aspect of it, is you get these players, and then you start to see what type of players and what position the College of Michigan puts out into the NFL. Defensive backs, yes. Linebackers, yes. Linemen on the defense and the offensive line, yes. Quarterbacks, not in like 20 years. Wide receivers, I don't even think, maybe one or two. If that. The wide receivers, I think, came from NIU, actually.
There was one in the Titans, right? What was his name?
We are the Titans.
I think in college, Jimmy Ward was a wide receiver. We went to the NFL.
Jimmy Ward was a safety, and he's still a safety for the 49ers.
I thought he was a wide receiver.
Like Justin something.
Justin D's nuts. Hey-o.
I don't recall if I got anybody from Tennessee now. But Chad Beebe, Johnny Morton in Detroit, went to NIU. But just taking that completely oddball concept and trying it, that's the kind of crazy shit I do. That's how I can replay so many games. So yeah, Indy month, Indianapolis Colts.
And this was free? This Madden 21 was a free game?
Fuck no, I paid that shit.
Nope. Both spent 60 every year.
Ooh, damn.
50, Walmart's baby.
50.
Walmart, if you're listening, you could sponsor us.
Walmart, if you're listening, you look up my file, you know you can.
Mom, you got anything else you played?
Poured it out of Walmart.
You got anything else you played?
So I'll give my review of We Was Here in closing. We Was Here. It's a very special game. So you had to pin down. The game is completely out of its time frame. Very hypnotic, Gambit type game that feels like the mental equivalent of a palate cleanser. There's hints of Psychotic Bound with the librarian and explorer. The game is everything missing in games these times, and fuck you, Zavala.
What the fuck?
All right.
Moving on.
Spiral, you happen to be next.
Strangest review I've ever heard in my life.
Comments to We Done Had Been Here.
I'd like to get this on the record. The name of the game is We Were Here.
That's what I been had settings.
That's what I've been done had been settings.
And it was released in 2019. It came out on a bunch of different platforms. For Xbox One, where me and Muff played, it was released in 2019, and it was free with games with gold in September. And it was developed by a company, an indie company called Total Mayhem Games. They're a Dutch company. You could really feel the Dutch influence in this game, right, Muff?
Yeah, we
I felt that Dutch oven.
Exactly. That's my joke, Darkside. God damn it.
Darkside's ruined the whole podcast.
Jesus. Let's start over.
Fuck the world.
And it won the Best Indie Game Award for some sort of festival. So yeah, it was a cool game, like Muff said. Very atmospheric. The puzzles were pretty challenging. The first one we couldn't even get through, to be honest. We kind of cheated with to give full information here. We kind of cheated at different points in the games. We would switch roles. So I didn't play the one role the entire game.
One
We'd
was
go
a pitcher,
through
one
it
was a catcher. Or?
Yeah, pretty much. So we start. There's the librarian who's in a smaller room, and there's the explorer who's in a larger room. The first puzzle we can get past, so we switch roles. Muff became the librarian, I became the explorer, and I immediately saw exactly how this puzzle would be solved. So we did kind of cheat a bit. The walkie-talkie interaction was really cool, except we couldn't really get it to work. I'm not sure if that was a problem with Muff's terrible internet.
Broke ass internets.
Oh,
exactly.
Fuck you. Fuck your E-class. Fuck all y'all. I'm out.
So no, we had troubles with. I'm not sure if it was a game software issue or our issue, but we had troubles with it. So we had to skip the walkie-talkie part after a few hours, and we were just talking on the phone because honestly, you cannot get through this game without constant communication. It's really, really difficult without talking nonstop. If we had the walkie-talkie the entire game, it would probably taken us so much longer. If we didn't switch roles, we probably would never even finish the game, to be honest, because some of the puzzles are pretty challenging. But there's 4 or 5 puzzles, very atmospheric, pretty creepy. I really liked the last puzzle of the game, where you're kind of recreating this play with these signs of this king who kind of slayed his entire family and kingdom, and you hit a button and it moved these signs that were on kind of like on tracks, and you had to put that in the correct order when you listen to a record player that was narrating the play. So it'd say something, and you have to bring that sign out, press a button. If it was right, you get further. If it was wrong, all of a sudden this demon comes up and it gets closer and closer. The more wrong answers or wrong sequences you got, and then you die. So it was definitely a cool experience, lots of trial and error. And like Muff said, I would definitely give it a shot. If you have Games with Gold, downloaded it, play it because it's really, really fun. And it's hard to talk about without spoiling it because there's only 4 or 5 really main big puzzles. But it was definitely a game I've never played before, anything like that, and it was a cool experience. So yeah.
Other than like switching characters, did you guys like text message and try to figure out puzzles outside of the game, or was it pretty much you guys stayed true to the inside of the game?
We stayed pretty true. There was one. If you switch roles, it gets pretty apparent where you're getting stuck at. So if you just do that, you can pretty much figure it out. But if you want to play it, without any kind of help, you wouldn't want to switch roles and just use a walkie-talkie. It would be rough, I think. You guys might have more experience playing these types of puzzle games. It was rough for us, I would say.
But it's worth the plunge without switching roles. Give it your best honest effort first because it is a lot of fun. But if you do, 45 minutes to an hour and you're not getting anywhere, if you switch roles, I ain't mad at you.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on the first puzzle trying to figure it out. We just switched out probably 45 minutes to an hour if you couldn't figure it out. So it's a cool game. You guys should all give it a shot if you have it available.
Sounds like it.
The second, I played 3 indie games this month. The second game was Coffee Talk, which is another Xbox free game with Games with Gold. It came out in January 2020 by an indie company called Togue Productions, and it was a June 2020 Games with Gold free download. So I've never played a game like this before. It's described as a visual novel, so there's a lot of dialogue you have to read. And basically, the premise of the game is you're a barista at a coffee Starbucks type shop named Coffee Talk. It's set in Seattle, and it's set in this not futuristic, but fantasy world where there's different types of like monsters and different kind of genres of characters such as elves and orcs and things like that.
So it doesn't have any connection to the SNL sketch.
It does not. But you sit there and you listen to people's problems and try to help them figure it out. And as the game progresses, you just create coffee or you just make coffee for these characters. They ask for frappuccinos or a green tea latte, and you just have to create that for them. But there's no way really to lose the game. I mean, you could create the wrong thing and they'll complain and yell at you. But the story just completely progresses. It was a game I've never played like before. I don't know if I could recommend it because the only reason I ever played this game is because it was Theme of the Month. I've never probably played it beyond that. But it was free too, like Muff says. It's a free game, so he likes those types of games. I do as well. And it was a good experience, but it was a little plotting. The characters are sort of memorable. Some are, some aren't. The story is whimsical and interesting to see how people progress with their lives and the issues they have. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's a game I could recommend unless you really have a lot of free time on your hands or you're on a podcast that has indie games as a Video of the Month theme and you don't feel like paying for anything like Muff. But it was an interesting game. The characters were cool. The main character you interact with, her name's Freya. I've determined that if any girl's named Freya, they're just pretty hot. Any Freya I've seen in real life, which is zero, or in pop culture, has been pretty awesome. Like Luna Freya in Final Fantasy 15. Freya's the name of the actress who was in The Witcher. She may be underage. That might be more of dark side territory, but she was pretty memorable. But overall, I don't know if I could recommend that game.
Were there any puzzles?
No puzzles at all. You just got to make coffee, and if
you could decorate the top of the coffee or something too, right?
Yeah, making coffee is a puzzle in itself.
No, but like there was like an art portion of that, right? Where you could like put designs on the top of the coffee, like.
Right, but it's I don't know. It was.
Why would anybody want to play this game?
I mean, visual novels are pretty popular. I think people would mainly play it for the story. I'm trying to think if I've ever played a straight up visual novel. I don't think I have. Most of the games that I've played that kind of leaned into the visual novel genre, they still had puzzles. They were more like adventure games than just straight up like visual novels, but it's pretty popular genre.
Yeah, I don't think we're the demographic for this game. Like I was talking to my nieces who are big gamers, and they all kind of wanted to play it. They thought it was interesting. They're young. They're in their 20s, and this is a game that they kind of caught their eye. But I think for dudes like us in our 30s and 40s, we're not the target demographic for Coffee Talk. But it was interesting.
Here we are playing it,
dudes.
And then the third indie game I played was a game called Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, which is a Metroidvania game. Muff has played this game for Ladies' Night. I think that's episode number 2 of the podcast. Go back to that if you want to hear his thoughts on it. From what I read about Shantae, the game I played was the third in the series of 5 games. The first game being released on the Game Boy Color. So it's been around for a while.
And it's super expensive, that first game. Although they just re-released it. Yeah, that first Game Boy Color game is like several $100s if you want to get it legit.
Shantae ain't cheap.
This one, the third game, Pirates Curse, came out in 2016. Another Games with Gold game. I am not a big indie gamer, so the only way I would play any of these games is if they were free and I had them on in my library. I download every Games with Gold release every month, all 4 games. It was released in 2016, and Metroidvania game. It was honestly a pretty cool game. I enjoyed it. I do like Metroidvania type games. I think they're very interesting. I played original Super Metroid. I played Symphony of the Night. I really enjoy that aspect of getting to a game and seeing things that you can't get yet, but knowing at some point you'll be able to do that and kind of connecting the pieces. There's a lot of backtracking, of course, but I think that to me is very interesting. Just being able to figure out these puzzles, remembering that there's this issue here that you might want to get to once you get further in the game and go back and backtrack. It was very intuitive. There was not many times where I had to go online for a strategy guide. I just did it a couple times because I wanted to get this game done this month. I know that if I would have just played it, I would have figured it out. I feel like Symphony of the Night is a game I played. I feel like there's certain areas in that game that I would never, ever figure out if I didn't have a hint. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I felt like there's a certain issues in that game where if I didn't look online, I would never, ever figure it out. Whereas with Shantae, it's more simplistic and it's easy to figure out if you take the time to backtrack and figure things out. The graphics are sprite-based, so it's kind of a throwback type look to the game, except that when you're speaking to characters, like this animation kind of slides in and out. And what I was kind of confused by a bit is Shantae. The gameplay seems like it's kind of like a bit of like a children's game, a younger audience. But then the characters themselves, like the girls, like are very scantily clad.
Yeah.
Short skirts, big boobs. So it was a game made for me and Muff for sure. But it was kind of like this striking, just dissimilar ideas of this kind of puzzler, platforming, fun game with these like really outrageous looking characters. But I enjoyed it. The other thing about the game is that it was pretty easy and intuitive until I got to the last few levels, and it got fucking hard, incredibly difficult. Precise jumps, just crazy jumps and maneuvering through really small areas where there's spike traps, and I couldn't do it. Like, I tried a million times for this level. I couldn't figure it out. This is the very last level of the game. And I went online. I'm like, am I just this bad at these types of games? And it was a similar thought that people were surprised at how hiked up the difficulty was in the last portion of the game compared to everything else. Everything else I breezed through, got to the last part, and I was dying and couldn't ever get past the first part of the last level.
Not the boss fight itself, but getting to the boss on that last level.
Yeah.
It's the hardest freaking part. Were you feeling a hook job coming on?
Oh, yeah. I was freaking out a couple times. That scared my cats. But what I figured out is there's a way to get past this level. There's a shortcut that you can do with these precise jumps, which was just a little bit easier than going through these like 8 levels of this hell. So I was able to jump up get to the top of this palace, get to the last boss. Last boss is pretty easy and finish the game. So yeah, that was Shantae. It was a fun game. Really difficult at the end. I was watching some YouTube videos of guys going through the last part of the game, and it's like watching a speed run of like Castlevania, the original. Like these guys just doing these incredibly precise jumps and going through the game so fast. Like it was the same concept. I cannot believe any average gamer would be able to get through these fast levels. But yeah, that was the third and only indie game I played this month.
Now, Spiral, I have to ask, did you play this off my recommendation?
I did not. I was just looking for indie games to play.
You. God damn.
I respect your opinion on strippers, but that's about it. As far as games, not really. I just was searching for an indie game that I had in my library because I've got like 50 or 60 games I've downloaded from Games with Gold, and those were the 3 that came up that were pretty short that I wanted to finish this month.
I don't know how you guys have all that hard drive space, man. I have like 5 games on my PS4. Like.
I got an external hard drive. I think it's 2 terabytes or something like that.
Yeah, that's how that works.
I was thinking about getting the other games or playing the other games in the series, Brian, but after that last level, which just kind of killed my soul, tormented me. It's like, I don't know if the other games are as difficult, but I probably will not play them unless I got a free download. And it's maybe a ladies' night or an indie game month for this podcast.
Yeah, if we have ladies' night or indie month again next year. Yeah.
I played Risky's Revenge, which I think was the second one. And that I assume it's been ported, but it was originally on DSiWare, which the DSiWare platform was pretty much like just set up to die. I remember it being.
I forgot that existed. What the
yeah, I know. I don't even know if it's still around. I bet you can't even get games off it anymore. So that game's probably been ported. I remember it being pretty fun, but it must not have left that lasting of an impression on me because I didn't jump into any of the other games in the series. I think I get confused by the naming convention on which game's which and if I've played it before, because they do have a lot of director's cuts that come out and things like that.
I feel like the game has a following because I did Google some things about the game. It seems like it has a cult following. There's a lot of cosplayers out there who dress up as Shantae and the other characters. So I feel like it's a pretty popular game, but I just don't think I'd play any other game in that series for the most part.
I think it got a lot of notoriety built because that Game Boy Color game was so late in the Game Boy Color's life cycle.
Yes.
And it was supposed to be pretty good, and it was extremely hard to come by. So I think that kind of gave the series a bit more notoriety and kind of attention.
It looks really good too for a Game Boy game. The animation is a level above everything else. I want to try it on an emulator someday. But
all right, Moose, what games did you play for the month of September?
So I played several games. We talked about Hollow Knight. I beat that game. I played some other games I did not beat, like Slay the Spire, The Witness, and Cuphead. I still got to go back and beat a couple of those. I did beat Ori and the Will of the Wisps. That game is the sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, and I liked it a lot better. It was on Game Pass, so I did not pay for it directly. But I would highly recommend Ori and the Will of the Wisps if you played the first one. It takes off pretty much right where the first one left off as far as the story goes, and that's another game that it's really about atmosphere, and it's probably the best looking 2D game I've ever played that I can think of. The animation's really good, the movement's pretty awesome, the mobility. You get a lot of abilities that increase your mobility. It's more of a platformer than it is a combat game, but the combat in the game is actually really good too. So there's a kind of a light sword that you get. It's one of the so you play as a little he's kind of I think they call him a spirit or something in the game, but you're this little cute glowing white character, and the light blade that I'm talking about is an extension of you, it seems like, but it's just a big spike that comes out of you, and you treat it like a sword basically, but it's got all the typical trappings of a Metroidvania where you get abilities and you can go to certain areas once you get those abilities, like a double jump, for instance, and like a wall climbing ability kind of. It was just really good. Pretty easy game for the most part. Like combat's not really that difficult to grasp, but like the platforming gets gradually difficult as you go on, but it's still not that difficult. It's not like a Celeste or something where like the platforming is like grueling or anything like that. And it's typical Metroidvania, open, kind of like an open map that you go, and you actually have to buy maps in certain areas. It seems to unlock regardless of if you buy it, but when you buy it, you can see like the whole area. But it's a game I recommend. I know, Brian, you have it. You haven't played it yet. I don't know what your plans are there. I know it recently got released on the Switch, so it's access to more people.
It's supposed to be a great port on the Switch too, because
yeah,
I guess
I'd
on the
imagine.
Xbox S it chugs a little bit. I don't know if they fixed it, but I know it had some performance issues. But the Switch port's supposed to be pretty amazing.
Yeah, I played it on the One X. So the One X,
the Switch port.
It ran flawlessly on the One X, as far as I could tell. I didn't have any problems with the game running or anything like that, but there was some weird load times at times. Like if I died, sometimes the screen would be black longer than I would expect. But other than that, I mean, I didn't have any issues at all.
So would you say that people should play the first game though, to get caught
not
up on the plot?
necessarily, but the first game's so much cheaper. It's like, I think you can typically find it for $10 for the definitive edition, and I'm sure the sequel's probably $30 if you look anywhere else.
Yeah.
But if you have Game Pass, you can play both. So I'd recommend if you have Game Pass and that's the method you're going to play it, I would play the first one and then the second one. So you can, like, playing the first one makes you appreciate the second one a little bit more. If you play the second one and then go back to the first one, it's not going to have the same impact, in my opinion.
Yeah, I could see that. Anybody else thinking about playing this game?
I was thinking about it. They got really good reviews, right?
Oh yeah, I did.
Nah, fuck that game.
Good. Although Melvin was asking me, hey, do you think I would like the Ori games? And I said probably, but you know, it just came off a Hollow Knight, so I can't use my next recommendation for a while, you know.
I might end up playing it at some point.
Moose, you play anything else?
I did. So another indie game that I played, and I actually played with Muff recently, Rocket League. That recently went free to play, and I think back in like 2015 or something, it got Indie Game of the Year, and now it's pretty huge. I mean, it's like an esport, and it's really popular. But I mean, it started out as indie, so it's technically indie still. I don't know if indie games can become non-indie games, like, you know, if you look at Minecraft or something, is that still an indie game? I don't know. That's a debate, you know. But I mean, it started out as indie, but it's huge now, and I think recently I saw that there was like 1 million concurrent players after it went free to play. So I mean, it's pretty popular and pretty widespread. Everybody can play. It's cross-play. It's an easy pick up and play game. It's got a high skill ceiling but a low like barrier for entry. So like the way you play the game, I mean, it's soccer with basically like RC cars that you can customize and how they look and stuff. But it's really fun.
Yeah, that was it was cool to be able to customize your own vehicle. I agree. And this week is when I downloaded it and started playing it out. I was surprised how good it was, actually.
Yeah, it's a great game.
I
think a lot of us would enjoy it playing together. It's a really easy pick up and play multiplayer game.
Do you think Brian would enjoy playing it?
I think he would.
I have played it, and I did somewhat enjoy it.
I think you'd enjoy playing it with
me and Brian playing that one time. The field's too big for one-on-one, though.
Yeah, you can play 1-on-1, 2-on-2. I think the prime game mode's 3-on-3. Muff and I tried 4-on-4 just to try it out, and 4-on-4 is kind of a mess because it's kind of chaos.
Is that the biggest? 4-on-4?
I think 4-on-4 is the biggest. Now, we haven't tried a custom match. Maybe you can have more in custom, but yeah, in matchmaking, 4-on-4 is the big thing.
How long are the matches? Like, do you have to score like 2 goals or 3 goals to win?
There's like a 3-minute. Yeah, it's like a 3-minute timer, and I think the time stops whenever like somebody scores or something. But yeah, it takes about 5 minutes to play a match.
Darkside, I interrupted you. You were about to talk shit about me. Would you like to finish your thought there?
No.
Please do. No, say it, bitch.
I said it, but basically, when we recommend anything to Brian, he typically hates it.
That's not true.
Brian pretty much hates everything we recommend.
Brian doesn't hate everything we recommend. He just doesn't jump on it like some of the other people might.
If I told Brian he should try Cinnamon Toast Crunch right now, he'd be like, "I don't like it."
He would try it with a slightly closed mind, maybe.
Yeah. Yes, there you go. He would like it a little less.
I will play Rocket League. I will commit to that.
Another game I put,
live,
I'd say significant time in, but didn't get very far, was The Witness. And I know Brian's going to probably go deeper in that, so I can let him go into that section when he's talked about his games. But The Witness is very different than any typical game I've played in the past. I mean, it's a puzzle game. What's weird for me is that there's no direction in the game. Like, you start off and you start off doing like a very simple puzzle, and you're like, wow, this game's kind of like easy and you could just blow through it. And then you get to the open world once you do like the first couple puzzles, and you can literally go pretty much anywhere. And there's no dialogue, there's no text on screen, there's just puzzles everywhere. So it was very different for me, and I didn't have as good a time with it, I guess. But Brian could probably go into that detail when he gets to his turn.
Yeah, did you have anything else, Moose? Otherwise, I'll jump into The Witness.
Indie games? No, I did not.
All right. Yeah, to continue the conversation on The Witness, yeah, I thought it was an incredible game. I mean, like Moose said, you can kind of go anywhere. So, I mean, it's open world. I mean, the world's not that big, but it's pretty dense with puzzles. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it's almost like a Metroidvania in a way, in that you can go up to a door and there'll be a puzzle that has symbols on it that you have no idea what they mean. And really what the game wants you to do is to just walk away from those puzzles. And that's kind of hard to get used to. It's very easy to just try puzzles over and over when you're not really sure what you're supposed to be doing. But really what that would be like if you're coming up to a door in a Metroid game and you need like super missiles. You're just supposed to walk away until you go somewhere else and get the super missiles. And in this game, the abilities to unlock those doors isn't like an item that you pick up. It's just knowledge that you kind of acquire as you go other places in the game. And just that concept is so satisfying when you reach a door that you've been staring at, you know, for days, that you don't know how to beat it. And then you finally realize, because you're on a completely separate section of the game, on how you need to beat that. The game is just filled with like those moments where you just are like, oh man, that's how I need, like these epiphanies of, that's how I need to do that. Which just makes it a really engaging experience.
It's definitely unique. I mean, it's first person, like going back to that, it's a first person game, and you go to like these panels and you solve these puzzles. And there's like sometimes there's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 puzzles in a row, like these panels right next to each other. And I would breeze through like the first 4, and then the last puzzle for some reason just wouldn't work. And I was like thinking to myself, I was solving these other ones a certain way, and this one doesn't seem to work the way I was solving the other ones, until like I just brute forced it. And I was like, well, okay, that worked, but it didn't really make sense to me now. And then like I couldn't take that knowledge, I felt like, to the next stage. You know what I mean? Like I had some of those moments where I was brute forcing part of it, and it kind of broke how I thought the other ones worked.
Yeah, there were some sections where, like you said, like the game is teaching you these little nuances to the puzzle, and then you get to the last part and it kind of undoes what you think you knew. And you really, even if you like brute force it, you kind of have to just go back from the beginning and then look at all the different steps that you did, and then evaluate, okay, what is really the rule set to this specific puzzle? And to kind of break it down more, the puzzles, it's all based on like moving a line through a grid. So there could be like, you know, a 4x4 set of squares, and they're all separated by lines, and you're moving like your pointer through the lines, and you can't intersect on one, and you pretty much just have to go from start to finish. But then there's different symbols, so you have to work around those in specific ways. So the game, it seems like it would get old because it's all that type of puzzle. But every section of the game has different little clever rules associated to it for how you need to solve those puzzles that, yeah, really was just an incredible experience. And
no, what I was gonna say, so like you build on those puzzles, right? And then you get to the end, and in certain areas you activate a laser, and you have to activate so many lasers to like consider beating the game. And I felt like I solved I solved over 100 puzzles. I only activated one laser. So some of the sections I didn't complete all the way through, I guess. Because I don't know how many puzzles are in the game. I would assume like 500 or something.
Yeah. Yep.
So I thought I would have activated more than one laser because I did a bunch of different sections, but some of them just led to nothing, I felt like.
Yeah, and I mean there was one night where like, you know, I activated like 2 lasers in one night. So I made a lot of progress. But then there was like a whole week where I didn't activate any lasers at all. So you just kind of chip away at every section. Yeah. And that's part of more of what makes the game so brilliant, is that if you get stuck on a section, you just go somewhere else. Like in a lot of puzzle games, if you're stuck on a puzzle, you're either going to do that puzzle or you're done. Like you can't progress. But this, you can just kind of jump around, and it makes it less daunting for you to have the thought that I need to solve this puzzle right now. So I would kind of get into the mindset of, all right, if I can't figure this out, I'm just going to go somewhere else and then try and make a little bit of progress, but not get stuck on, I need to finish this area. Because that's what I did at the end of the game.
Yeah, so the first person aspect was how you got around in the game, right? So like I think it would have been a little bit easier for me to like jump between puzzles if it was just like a menu where you just select, you know, this group of puzzles or whatever, but having to run to a different part of the map, and I was just I'd get lost and get turned around, and it just kind of was a little bit harder for me to understand where I was supposed to go next. If I couldn't solve one, like where should I go kind of thing. I ended up going to areas where the puzzles were just like way above what I knew at the times, and it just I don't know, kind of like slowed me down until I basically gave up.
Yeah, and some of the, you know, being in first person and having to travel between those puzzles, because a lot of the puzzles are based on the perspective of how you're looking, like the certain angle. And then like even walking from one puzzle to another, there's a lot of separate environmental puzzles that you can solve that you kind of like, even when you're walking around, you kind of need to like examine everything around you to do some of those other environmental puzzles as well. So I think the game would lose a lot if you were able to kind of like fast travel. Yeah. And there are some ways later on in the game where you can open up like gates to allow like quicker access around the island and stuff.
Yeah, and part of the problem for me, I wasn't taking any notes. I was trying to do it all by memory, and like I didn't take any notes in a notebook or anything like that to kind of help me like remember what I did or what, you know, kind of little unique things were in certain areas and stuff like that. So I think that would have helped if I would have been more meticulous about it.
It's like mandatory to do.
Yeah, and I did do that.
I took like 100 screenshots on my phone. I had a notebook where I was taking down notes. There's some puzzles that are reliant on like making Tetris type shapes with the line. So I literally had like a physical little Tetris puzzle game in front of me, and I was like mapping out what I needed to do it. So I was really trying to utilize like everything I could. And the game does not like, because it first came out, I think it was like 4 years ago, and I started playing it right when I moved, and then I tried to pick it back up, and I was like, I don't remember anything that I had learned. So it's really a game that you got to play it every day, because if you stop playing it and you forget a rule that you knew, it can really impede your progress. Like
it's definitely a really cool game. I just wish like if I would have been taking notes from the beginning or had kind of like an idea of how to go about it from the beginning, I think I might have enjoyed it more. But I kind of just thought I could wing it, thought I was a genius, and it turns out I'm still a genius, just not at that game.
On a closing, I would say don't look anything up if you can resist it, because that's like the biggest reward that the game gives you, is when you finally figure something out that you've been trying. Because I made it to the end game. So after you activate, you know, as many lasers as you need, you get to an end game. And at that point it is, you know, if you want to beat the game, you have to beat the specific puzzles. And I was, you know, Irma and the baby were out of the house, so I had the house to myself for 3 hours, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna beat this game because I'm at the end point. And then I made it to a puzzle, and I spent an hour straight, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I thought I was gonna beat it right now. I didn't want to go explore other parts of the island that I could have done, and then I ended up looking stuff up, and I wish I wouldn't have done that, because it kind of ruins some of the game for you. So I did, after I beat the game, I did go back and activate the rest of the lasers. I looked up a hint on one of them because I was getting real
Yeah, I mean, you could, like, if you go online, you just get all these like screenshots of how to solve every puzzle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You could do that, and it would just totally ruin the game. Yeah, it would, like, it wouldn't even be worth playing. You'd just be doing it to get the achievements and whatever, you know. But it wouldn't really. There's no real value in doing that. It would totally ruin it.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna move in. The next indie game that I played was a game. I felt like playing a shitty game, to kind of match up with Darkside. I played Nikki the Home Alone Golf Ball. This was one of those games that pops up on the Switch for like
what
10
the fuck?
Cents. Yeah, Nikki the Home Alone Golf Ball. I think it was 10 cents on the Switch, so I was like, all right, I'll play it. You're in a house and you have a golf ball and you hit it like you would a golf ball. There's like a power meter and there's like an angle meter. The physics were just trash, so it didn't feel like you were really like hitting a golf ball like you would in any other game. And that's the whole game. Like, you're hitting it around tables and stuff, and then you get outside and you're hitting the ball around like trash cans, and there's only really one level. It took about half an hour to beat, and then the only incentive to go back to it is using less hits. I think I hit the ball like 500 times. I think the top leaderboard was like, 200 times or something. Yeah, some of the level design was just frustrating as hell because there's like these windmills that you've got to hit the ball on top of these moving platforms, and then you've got to do it like 6 times in a row flawlessly, otherwise you fall to the ground. And I was like, I want to finish this stupid game, get my beat of the month points, but it was it was not very good. If you want something to play, I mean, it was cheap, but I wouldn't pay the $1 that they ask normally. It's not worth that.
Well, Brian, you don't have to bring up every game you play. I mean, like.
I only have one other game. So the other game that I played was called Watam. And this is made by the guy that made Katamari Damacy. If you don't know what Katamari Damacy is, you're rolling up a ball and that's all there is. You make the ball bigger and you pick up stuff. That's one of my favorite games ever. And this guy has not made many games after Katamari Damacy. He made Nobi Nobi Boy, which was like a $5 like open. It was just like a playground, really. It wasn't really a game. So when this was coming out, I was pretty excited for it. And it came out. I think it came out in December, but I didn't get the physical edition until a couple months ago. But I had to force myself to finish it, which I was really sad about. It's just the concept of the game is you have all these different characters and you hold hands with the other characters, or you talk to the other characters to kind of progress through the story. The story's very loose. I mean, it's colorful and whimsical and wacky like Katamari Damacy is, but the gameplay was just not very engaging. I mean, the most engaging thing I did was like, there's an ice cream cone, and he's crying because he doesn't have his ice cream. So you've got to take the mouth character.
Sounds like Darkside.
Yeah. You've got to take a mouth character, and then you eat another character that turns him into a swirly piece of poop, which looks like ice cream.
Sounds like Muff.
So hold up, you have to eat poop to fill the cone of cream?
That you eat something else.
Bro, this is a weird ass game, dude. Weird ass game, bro.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Sounds like a Brian game.
10 cents?
It's like a
No.
10-year-old Brian
This
game.
One's $30. This was
Brian
not the
from
10
10 years ago.
Oh my god, $30.
Yeah, this is a $30 game. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's 20 digital. I don't know. I think the physical was 30. But anyway, there's just not a whole lot to it, and I felt like Nobi Nobi Boy was $5, so I give that a pass because it's more of just like a playground. But I remember going back to that game several times because I thought it was relaxing to play. Where this one, because they added kind of missions that weren't very engaging and they added a story. Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't kind of hit me as a game that I'd go back to multiple times, which I was disappointed. I mean, Katamari Damacy is one of my favorite games ever, and this game just didn't quite do it for me. And with that, we're gonna move to Darkside. What games did you play for September?
Well, let me ask you. Sadistic robots that enslave orcas Does that tickle your fancy?
Kind of.
What about evil sheep puncher robots that kidnap sheep? You like that shit?
No.
No.
You got me.
I played a great game called Kitten Squad.
Oh shit! Kitten Squad is amazing.
Yeah, Muff forgot about Kitten Squad earlier. He played it also. But Kitten Squad is a top-down twin-stick shooter where you play as a kitten.
Oh man!
Oh wow!
And you run around to different levels and you destroy robots. You shoot them with various gun types.
Okay.
And it was made by PETA, so you know it's good.
Oh my gosh!
It's a free game. It was free on the PlayStation Store. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but I'm sure it's free everywhere. Game. Yeah, it was basically a Burger King game.
It's a great game.
It was actually pretty fun. I mean,
the
mechanics were good, so I mean it could have been anything, but in this case you're a kitten and you run around shooting robots so that you can save animals, basically. In between each level, there was always some like brutally sad story about how some species of animals was getting like raped and murdered and like ripped to pieces, all for the humans' benefits. It was a little bit funny, but it was, kind of like the in between stories were way over the top. So
it was really made by PETA. That was not a joke.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. PETA.
Oh God.
It's a great game. Sorry to cut you off, Darkside.
No, go ahead.
I'm gonna jump in. This is it kind of. I'm reading and there's this fucking talking deer, talking about woe is me. These bitch ass sheep getting killed. Free these fucking whales. I'm like, man, I am hunting you. Why are you talking to me? Because in real life, I would have shot your ass by now and ate you. But you gotta go save him. And it was weird as shit. But man, it's fun. And all the fucking, I don't know if you can go into this, all the fucking weapons. I'll let you finish, Darkside. I'm gonna chime in.
So basically, there were a lot of different types of weapons. They were all pretty cool. Some of them, like just were your basic, like rockets and then bullets that would bounce off the walls, and then you'd have like carrots that would explode into smaller carrots and would bounce around and shit like that. But for a free game that I had very low expectations for, it was actually pretty fun.
Yes.
So.
And honestly, part of it felt like, if y'all remember Contra on the 8-bit, the up, down, down, that one, all the different weapons kind of thing, it made me kind of remember Contra, because like you like a weapon, you fall in love with that weapon, you start using it, and then you know how with Contra they got the whole little wing thing with a different type of weapon. You can grab those, and sometimes you accidentally grab it, and you got this bitch-ass gun, and it's like, God damn, I don't want this gun. I want my other gun. And you can't get it, and it's gone forever. And it's like, God damn it, this is going to take fucking ever now. And it's like, no, you need to find a different gun. It's like, oh, look at this thing. This thing's pretty damn cool. And then you start blowing up with that gun, and then you get your original gun. There's lasers bouncing everywhere, little tiny balls everywhere, hitting shit, and you go to the door, and then all of a sudden, you get lost as shit. If you don't keep track of what door you just came out of, I'm about to go up inside, you go backwards, and you at the fucking beginning. I was pissed.
So is it a roguelike? Is it a roguelike like Enter the Gungeon or Binding of Isaac or something? Or is it just you die
honestly,
and start over?
I don't know why Buff got lost. It was not hard at all.
Why you getting lost? You the wrong door?
Yes, you go in one door, and then when you clear the room, the other door opens and you go through that.
What are you doing here?
The Darkside, is it like a roguelike or is it like progression?
It's very direct. Like the door on the left, you go through it, and then
very linear.
When you clear the room, the door on the right opens, and you go through that.
Yo, but both doors are open, and if you don't remember which one you can't, because sometimes you run around rooms like you don't know what you've been doing. Like someone trying to get your booty over there, and you trying to eat the booty.
I guess that's true. If you don't remember what room you came out of, you could go backwards.
Muff, did you get lost in Contra? Did you just run to the left the whole time and not get anywhere?
Contra didn't have no two doors. Contra's very straightforward. Like, boom, boom, gotcha, bitch. I'm going to go forward. This was like, all right, I got all y'all. Fuck, which door? It's got to be this one, right? Nope. Fuck you, Brian.
So that's basically. Another game I played was called Hue, which was a 2D side-scrolling platformer. The plot basically was the player is a boy looking for his missing mother. The niche of the game was that in order to progress and solve puzzles and everything, the majority of the game starts off black and white, and you can change the color of the background to progress, basically. So if there's like a blue door in your way, you can change the background to all blue, and then the door's gone now because everything's blue. So you can progress. And more levels you get through, the more colors you get, which makes the obstacles, more varied and more difficult, and so on and so forth. It was okay. None of it was particularly hard or difficult. But, it was a good 4 or 5 hours, fun.
I thought it looked cool. I when you recommended it, I looked at a video of it. I thought it looked pretty neat, but I just wasn't ready to tackle another puzzle game.
Yeah. It was fun. Some of the puzzles near the end get a little annoying, but nothing in particular was that difficult, Like I wouldn't put it anywhere close to like a Witness level difficulty when it comes to puzzles. The most I maybe put like 15, 20 minutes into one and then was able to get through. I also played Little Nightmares, all the DLC. I played the main game earlier.
Amazing game.
Yeah.
Why the boo?
Yeah, it's in the boo.
I just got to shit on Melvin a little bit.
Brian's a hater, man.
Brian is a hating.
The DLC was called The Mall, but it's actually 3 different DLCs called The Depths, The Hideaway, and The Resistance.
The Mall?
The Mall.
Like shoppings, like Spencer's and
no, like
Labs Castle or
Mall.
Or like Darth Mall?
Yeah, Darth Mall.
All right,
how long are each of the DLC add-ons?
They were both about an hour. They were all 3 of them were about an hour, maybe a little bit more depending, but they weren't very difficult.
Okay.
Same thing, as the main game. It's 2D side scroller, very atmospheric, very creepy. I wouldn't say these DLCs were more interesting than the main game. You play as a different character, a little boy this time rather than a little girl.
Okay.
And giving away the end of it all kind of spoils it, but it doesn't really add anything to the overall mix of the game. But I did enjoy them. They were fun.
Brian, will you be playing?
I will not be playing that. I thought Little Nightmares was okay, but Melvin, you hyped it up like.
Did you like Oddworld?
I've never played Oddworld, so I don't know.
Yeah, I could see it being a little like. Well, no, Oddworld is more like puzzle based, and you're like assembling a crew of people. Where Little Nightmares, you're really just by yourself.
Yeah, you're generally by yourself. Every once in a while, you'll get like a little critter that helps you
Inside
out.
clone, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
it's like
Little Nightmares is when you run around with your Jimmy hat and it's all darks and you run and light up the rooms. I watched Hikaru Shida play that. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. It does have a similar atmosphere to Inside or what's that other one? Limbo, yeah.
I really like the visuals to it too. Like I haven't played the DLC yet, but that's the main game. The visuals is pretty cool, and I just thought the monsters were pretty cool in the game. Also, I thought they were dope.
Is the DLC pretty much included in like every version now, or is it just like the definitive version or something? Or
yeah, you can buy the definitive version, or
okay.
If you don't do that, then you can buy them separate. But it was fun. What else did I play? I played Costume Quest 2, an indie RPG from Double Fine, motherfucker.
Wow.
How did that compare to the first one?
It was pretty much the same. The gameplay was a little bit better. It's a what's that the old school Final Fantasy VII type fighting called?
Turn-based?
Turn-based, yeah. It was turn-based RPG. And they had a lot of extra button prompts, where you had to time in battle rather than just press a button and hit. So, that made it a little bit more interesting, but visually speaking and gameplay-wise, for the most part, it was the same. Just exploring. The main basic story of the game is there's an evil dentist that hates Halloween and hates candy. So on Halloween night, he uses a wizard and goes back in time to get rid of Halloween in your town, basically. Doesn't really make any sense, but it was cute, and it has that Double Fine humor. So
Sounds
it was
like
fun.
an asshole.
Yeah, he was. But yeah, I mean, it was a good word for it is charming. It was a charming game. Not as
Pretty
charming
short,
as
right?
Muff
Just
on a
like-
Saturday night, but it was charming.
Boy, you bitch, you gonna see me on Tuesday.
Can you say that again? Just the way you said it. Just the same way.
Boy, you bitch, you gonna see me on Tuesday.
They're pretty short games, right, Darkside?
Yeah, I mean, it was 8 to 10 hours, right around there. So for an RPG, it's not too bad.
Yeah. And that's turn-based?
Turn-based, yep.
Send to me a link. I'm interested.
That.
I like turn-based. 10 hour.
Another indie game I played was Typewriter, and Muffa like this. You play as a colon, and
Please, yo.
you play as a colon in various levels that are basically designed around different text throughout history. So like, New Times Roman, is a level, and that will basically be scattered about, and you have to.
Oh my gosh.
2D side scroll your way through it, all the way to the end. And I think there's 6 or 7 levels. Again, it wasn't difficult. It wasn't particularly interesting, but it did have a nice visual style. So
How long
another
was the
piece
game?
of shit that I played. Oh God, it was 6 hours tops.
You get a nice platinum trophy at the end of that one, at least.
I did not get the platinum for that.
Oh.
No, yeah.
Oh.
There was a lot of little extra things that you could get. You can get like different asterisks throughout each level, and I didn't get it. So
So they're based on
Man's
fonts?
job.
yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So like one of the goals in each level is to get A through Z. You can see each letter in the level, and you can jump and touch it, and you grab it like you would like a coin or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to find them in the level, but not difficult. But it was fun. What other piece of shit did I play this week?
Wally, you gonna scold Darkside
Yeah, Wally.
talking through this?
Yeah, this is like overload. Like you only had the 2 games. Like this is just.
Oh man, I
I'm losing
have like
track.
16 more games to go, Wally.
Oh, shit, man.
Well, let's talk about Pixel Puzzle, whatever the shit is called.
Oh, we don't talk about Pixel Puzzle. That wasn't an indie game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was yeah.
I also played Moose Man.
Oh.
Moose
Oh
Man.
shit.
We did it.
That we did it. Yeah, we made it.
They made it, yo.
That was another 2D side scroller. It had a nice art style. It was like watercolors, but it was mostly black and white. And there was really no combat. I mean, there was like maybe, I want to say, 3 points where I had to press a button for combat, and that's it. So it was mainly moving.
Game,
Yeah, it was mainly just moving from left to right and solving little puzzles and getting to the end. Took about 2 hours. It was really pretty. It was really easy. Just
2
the way
hours,
I like
eh?
my women's.
Just like me, really pretty, really easy.
That's right. I like my women like I like moose,
That's on hemorrhoids.
Oh shit! What other garbage did I play? I played Fall Guys, a ton of Fall Guys, but
Yeah, that's garbage. Anyway.
we talked about Fall Guys already, but I did reach level 40, the maximum. Nobody else did that in this group.
Are
No
they
big deal.
going to extend that with the seasons, or is it just you're at the max and the seasons are just cosmetics, or?
Yeah, pretty. I mean, you can still get cosmetics because they add new ones here and there every once in a while. But
does that do anything?
No, it's all cosmetic. You just look different. It's just
like getting level 40. That doesn't do anything. You just get
a
new
trophy
clothing and stuff.
Yeah, you reach the max, you get a trophy, say you're the best, and that's it.
Is Fall Guys a free game?
It was free PlayStation Plus last month, but not anymore. I think it's like $20 on PlayStation 4 and Steam. I think it's coming out everywhere soon, though. What else? Oh, one game I actually did like that I played this month was called Telling Lies. how do I describe this game? Have any of you guys seen Friend Request?
Oh yeah.
Nope.
Okay, so basically, this game is told from the point of view of a woman sitting at her laptop, and all you see is her laptop, and occasionally you see her reflection in the laptop.
Wait,
and
the movie's named Friend Request? We're talking different movies.
We're talking Telling Lies, bitch.
Huh?
So
Wow.
it's basically described as like a desktop thriller by the guy that created the game. And the basic story of the game is that something happened, something that you don't really know what it is, and you work for the FBI, and you're going through this laptop to figure out all the information. And there's a couple hundred different video files that you have to search through this laptop to look at and decipher what happened. And that's your only guidance. And the hard part about it is that when you see the video files, it's all like through Skype. So you only get one half of the video at a time. So like you have a search engine in there and you have to search like I don't know, let's just say you search FBI and it'll pop up 5 videos. And you'll see one person's perspective and you'll watch that and maybe they'll say something that catches your ear. And so you'll search that. And then you may at some point get the other half of that conversation. It was kind of tedious, but it was also kind of interesting. If it wasn't broken up in that way, it might have been maybe an hour long, because you would have both sides of the story and you would know what was going on. But breaking up those conversations means you get snippets of information shortly or slowly over time, and makes the game a little longer, and also made it way more interesting than if you were just watching the videos all together. Also,
are these real videos?
They're full motion videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, it's not all, in order either. So, I mean, like you're watching things and there'll be the main character who's a dude will have long hair and a beard. And then later he'll have short hair and he shaved his face. So everything's out of order and you don't really know the timeline. You just kind of have to figure it out for yourself.
So it's like a Tarantino movie or something.
In a way, yeah, but it's always different because you're searching keywords. So you're always going to find things in a different order than, say, if I were to play it.
Now you've got my attention.
And I did get the platinum for that, which took a long time because you have to watch every single video, and you only get to watch every single video if you search every single keyword. And so I still don't know if I necessarily understood everything that went on. Because of the order in which I watched everything. But it was a very interesting game nonetheless.
All right, Darkside, you got anything else?
I think that's it for indie. Everything else I think that's it.
All right, Emil, round us out here. What did you play in September, indie games?
Yo, sorry I fell asleep. Darkside was taking forever, but
man, I lost you 80 games when you were like an hour and fucking whatever.
So I have been playing Cuphead, as you guys all know. So I played that. I'm on the final world, fighting King Dice right now. Pretty frustrating.
What is Cuphead? I'm not familiar with that game.
Yeah, right, Darkside.
For those that aren't familiar with it.
Actually, I'm not.
Yeah.
So,
it's basically a side scroller. Pretty much, you're facing boss battles pretty much every fight. There's a couple. They call them run and gun worlds where you kind of go in there, collect some coins, and you typically have like a little boss battle at the end, and then you clear the stage. So there's like 2 of those. There's 3 total worlds. You fight in the first world. You fight 5 bosses. The second world, I believe it's 5, and then the third world is 7 bosses. And then now I'm on the final world, which you fight King Dice, and you have to fight it depends how you roll the dice. You can fight anywhere between 9 bosses, or I think it's 4, or maybe 4 or 5, depending on how you roll. So
It's like exactly like Gunstar Heroes. If anybody played Gunstar Heroes, there's a level in that's exactly the same. You're rolling a dice depending on what spaces you land. Then it depends on what bosses you fight.
Yeah. So anyway, this boss I'm on now, it's pretty hard. Like you get through all those other bosses, and then if you have a bad roll, you start over, which is kind of frustrating. And if you die at any one of those bosses, you start all the way at the beginning. Ugh. So that's kind of pretty frustrating. But that's where I'm at right now. The game's pretty cool. It is awesome. It is tedious.
We're about like 70 hours in, right?
It says, yeah.
It's a pretty big time pass compared to Melvin beating it in 3 hours.
It says I'm 70 hours in. And also, what's kind of funny is I played Witcher 3 and I have like 85 hours or something like that. So I don't, I think it's because I pause it sometimes and I leave it on. And things like that, and it calculates the hours.
Excuses.
It's a very, very hard game, though.
It is hard, though. I'd say realistically, I'm probably at like 30 hours, maybe a little more. But
I played that game quite a bit now, and I think I got like 35% or something. It's not very easy. I mean, you pick up the game.
It's tough.
Yeah. I'm at like 88% right now or something like that. So, and I got to the final boss a couple times. But then I like died, so then I had to restart everything.
So it's like a good game,
Yeah.
Playing and keep dying, keep playing and keep dying.
Yeah, keep playing, keep dying, kind of figure out the patterns and what works best and all that stuff. So, it's really cool. It's a cool game. It definitely tests your patience,
It's like some of the times, like when you get like.
The art style is what kept me coming back. I mean,
it's cool. Yeah, the art
cartoon style is like awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Like the characters are pretty cool looking, and the music is pretty cool. I do like it. It's just, and it is like it's all about like gambling, and it is kind of like you take a gamble whenever you fight like a boss or anything, and you want to keep going, So. It's fun. I like
it. It's a game for Mitch if he plays, A gambler's addiction.
So yeah, that one I purchased Little Nightmares. I want to beat it because I think you can beat it in like 5 hours. I think the time to beat is like 5 hours or how long to beat on the site. So I want to try to finish or try to do that. I might slip that in now while I'm doing Cuphead at the same time, just to get some motion and kind of, keep my attention, kind of take a little break from Cuphead here and there because
you're right at the end, man. Don't take a break. You got to keep going. You're right at the end.
Yeah, you don't want to take a break from Cuphead. You just want to keep at it, man. I'm telling you.
Keep going.
You're gonna get rusty if you take a big break. And
yeah. So yeah, I just gotta do that. But in Cuphead, the dragon and the robot, my God,
that robot, man.
God, I was so happy when I beat the robot, man. I was like,
oh man, it's like so rewarding when you finally.
Yeah, it is.
Man.
It really is.
Feeling like, oh shit, I did it.
It really is.
Like,
I remember. Yeah,
it's
go
like
ahead.
when you get close to beating the boss, like your hands start sweating, and it's just like.
Oh my God, yeah. Or you don't want to do a stupid move or like jerk the controller or do something dumb,
Sweat like a whore in church.
Yeah.
So what gun type do you use the most? Is it like the tracer type rounds where it tracks?
Honestly, it depends, man. If you can keep your enemies close, I use like the spreader,
Okay.
Because that deals a lot more damage. If you're kind of like trying to dodge and hit at the same time, it's probably the chaser. But yeah, I've been using now for like this final like boss type deal. I've been using the spreader and the chaser with smoke bomb charm, so that way you can kind of go invisible for a second and dodge. But,
that you got
it. That's huge. I mean, that is huge. But the game is cool. It is fun. It does keep you, wanting more. So
definitely gets extra points for being like artistically, like visually awesome to look at. Like it's a really cool looking game.
Oh, I think if it didn't have that art style, it would not be as popular as it is.
Oh yeah,
that goes.
Art style's like a 30s cartoon or something like that, right?
Yeah. There's DLC that has been like talked about for like 10 years now. I feel like I don't know what the hell happened there, but they never released it as far as I know.
Oh, the DLC?
Yeah.
I don't know
whatever
that's
happened
supposed
with
to come
that.
out.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all I've been playing, honestly, when I had time. So that's
All
kind
right.
of
Well,
what
I think we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about our top 3 indie games of all time. So stay tuned.
Beat of the month.